Hey everyone, welcome back to Creative Conversations. I'm Michael Shaun Corby, Global Education Ambassador for Amica, but you probably know me as the NAHA Chair. Maybe see me host the awards or even the red carpet. Love to see what you're wearing, love to hear from you there. Look, these are casual conversations with your favorite artists. This series is about our winners from 2024 at Premiere Orlando, where we get a chance to chat with them, see what they're doing next, learn their process, how they created these inspired collections, and have a laugh and leave inspired. So that's what this is really all about. And we're so excited that you keep watching, and we want to keep them coming. So again, it's all things NAHA, winners, past, present, future, artists, photographers, collaborators, you name it. So today's guest is very, very, very special. Our guest today just started entering NAHA in 2020. Since then, she has entered every year since, I should say, and she has won almost every year, with the exception of just one. She has entered as the newcomer, and boy, was she a newcomer rock star out of the gate. She entered styling and finishing. She entered hairdresser of the year and won. She entered avant-garde and won. And in 2024, this year, she won for texture. She works in a salon in Manhattan called Salon Ken House. I've been there. It's like, oh, now I get to see the mind, the inside, how she creates these incredible collections. She shoots right there in the salon, but I'll save that for later. Her work has been featured in, little magazines like Vogue and GQ, and I just saw her latest work in Paper magazine. So I can't go on anymore, but I will. She is truly the GOAT of our industry, on her way. And I don't even think she's 25 yet. I never ask a woman her age. My mom taught me right. She is literally the past, the present, and the future. So now please welcome to the show, Miss Cassie Carey. Woo!
Hi.
Hi. And I know you were muted. You didn't get to hear that, so you have to wait till later.
I
know. But I was going on and on about these wins, how you got newcomer out of the year out of the gate, and then it was like, boom, nomination, win. I mean, hairdresser of the year right after newcomer. What? I called you the GOAT of the industry. I called you the past, present, and future of NAHA. I mean, you are such an impressive woman. Are you still like reeling from all these NAHAs? Do you keep all 4 of your babies close to you?
They're definitely here with me. Definitely here. But yeah, I feel like I'm always reeling from it. It's a really fun experience all the way around.
That's so cool. So I really feel you are the new generation of NAHA. You've put a new breath into the awards. Clearly you were driven. Can you tell us a little bit about how this all started for you? What was the spark? What was the start that created the Cassie Carey we all know today?
Actually, it was it's a funny story. It was I'm from New Hampshire originally, a little town in New Hampshire, and so I went to beauty school there. And while I was in beauty school, my the NAHA awards were coming out, and my teacher had us just look at them, and I had never I didn't know anything about NAHA. I didn't know it existed, so I immediately became just obsessed with it, and just seeing all this the caliber of work that was being put out and stuff. So Then we had a little school project where we did kind of makeshift NAHA shoots, and so I did it in my beauty school classroom. I did my very first photo shoot ever in my beauty school classroom with a black bed sheet pinned to the wall, and a photographer I found off Instagram and some friends that were my models. And it was, thinking back on it and working on sets the way I do now, looking back, it was so sweet to think about that. But from that day, honestly, completely changed the trajectory of my career, because I truly found what I love to do. And the process from start to finish is something I'm really passionate about. So it was pretty much from then on, I was like, this is what I want to do.
It's amazing. Like, and you found it so soon. You never entered for student though.
I did enter. Yes, I did enter, but I didn't get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did enter
Okay.
student that year, but didn't get it.
Because you would literally be that person who's like, what do they call the people who win the Emmy, the Oscar, the Tony, the Grammy?
I don't know.
Someone out there will put it in the chats. But there are people who win that, and I feel like you're there because you've also, I think you've got 5 one-shot awards, and probably any award you want to enter, I have no doubt you're a contender. But before we get too much further into things, I want to talk about this texture collection, and please walk us through, talk about the inspiration and the process of this texture collection for you.
Yeah.
And
so
congrats.
I kind of mentioned this a little bit on stage, but coming from New Hampshire in a place where like textured hair is not really taught in beauty schools, I know that's a big problem throughout the country anyways. I really was exposed to textured hair through my best friend and some of my family members. But my best friend, she recently passed away. So it was kind of, you know, inspired by her before she even passed away. But just like my experience through hair and like connecting with people through hair. And she was someone I really, really did that with. And she was someone that was super vulnerable with me and allowed me to ask the questions and practice and go with her to places like to get her hair done and just really like kind of dive deep into her experience as well. And so I feel like I can never speak about my journey with textured hair without bringing her up, because she totally pioneered that for me, and really just like helped me.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
And what about this, like, while we're on that, and then I'll get into the shoot, but like, what advice would you give to a stylist not only looking to specialize in textured hair, curly, coily, wavy hair, but just become competent, right? Because I think we're all in a place where we realize that you should be able to go into any salon in the country, in North America, and your hair type shouldn't matter, right? There should never be a no. If we really, you know, have our credentials as stylists, we should be able to do everything, right? So do you have any advice for people who maybe came out of the school process without any of that, where they can look, how they can start to build those skills?
Yeah. So I feel like we're kind of in the generation of a lot of online education. So if people are timid to just even start and maybe they don't feel confident enough to maybe walk into a beauty salon or walk into like a braiding shop or anything like that, maybe they don't feel comfortable with that yet. I would say that's where I would lead into a lot of online education. It's everywhere. There's so many amazing educators out there, and it's just right at your fingertips. Also, if you can't really pay for those online classes, there's an abundance of education on YouTube and stuff just to get started. And then I would move on to getting, you know, textured hair mannequins and maybe offering services to models, or just like model prices to people in the community with textured hair so you can practice. And kind of just taking it back to like what you would do if you were relearning it in beauty school. You know, like how did everybody start getting clients out of beauty school or in beauty school? It was like at discounted rates because you're practicing. I would start there as well. And I feel like that's kind of what I did. And I had my best friend, but when I moved to New York, I was still not at the caliber that I am now, and I still have a long way to go. But I feel more comfortable now because I put in the time with real people, with real models, with real hair, you know?
Yeah. We talked about this incredible salon you work in, stunning. Like, and you and I, we did 3 days at a pop-up together, and I don't know, it was like 120 degrees plus rain. It was the weirdest day ever. It was so fun though. And like banging out braids all day long and styles. I'm wondering, how do you juggle it? Maybe this is a chance where we can talk about the unique space and the openness to creativity where you work. But how do you juggle a full clientele, editorial work, working at pop-ups, making appearances and NAHA. Can you give some advice how to juggle all that?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm more part-time in the salon than I am full-time. I'm only there 2 days a week, and I kind of shrunk my book down to 2 days so I could just see the people in a shorter amount of time and kind of use my the rest of my week to do everything else. So 2 days a week at the salon, and then the rest of the time I'm spending either shoots or like creatively coming up with things for certain projects or whatever it may be. And yeah, I feel like balancing it is interesting because I was always told something. I feel like this is something that happens a lot in the industry as well, is like you need a niche or you have to do one specific thing. Maybe you can't do editorial and salon. Maybe you can't do cutting and color. Like,
right.
I was someone that liked to do all of it always. I always liked to do everything. And now obviously I have some things I like more than others, but it took me a while to figure out what that was. So I'm not really someone that believes in like having to specialize in one specific thing. So for me, the balance of it isn't necessarily hard because I feel like it's what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah.
Smart. I mean, it's such a great way of working, right? That you're giving time for yourself and for your creativity. What has winning, I mean, not just competing in NAHA, but winning all these awards, what has it done to your life? Like, what are some things that started happening once you started winning NAHAs?
I feel like, one, I've made amazing connections with people from all different parts of the industry. People that, one, maybe have resonated from my starting point or have been inspired by stuff that I've done. And for me, it's kind of just crazy because I feel like I'm still right there with everybody else. Like I still get so inspired by everybody else's work and stuff. So it's really interesting and like, I don't know, humbling when people come up to me and say like really nice things about my work and stuff. So I'm still not used to it. I still have a hard time with it. But yeah, I feel like the connections I've made with people from all different walks of the industry it's been amazing. It's also opened up a lot of, different opportunities, and I've made connections with brands and all that kind of thing. But again, just the relationships with people has been extraordinary.
And even though NAHA is supposed to be a competition, you participate without the brand, right? In spite of your connection to a brand, you have been a lone warrior soldier all along. You pay for your own shoots, you produce your own shoots, you shoot you are literally, and we can give some shout outs later to your team, but you do this alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not easy.
I mean, I think a lot of people think it's beyond the possibility because they don't have a giant contract with the big three brand. Do you have any advice for them?
I also don't have a big contract with a big brand. I don't have any contracts with any brands at the moment. And so I feel like I remember being in, and I still am in those shoes where it's like, okay, you're up against these people that have massive budgets I didn't even think I could never spend that.
Humanly possible.
Like sometimes I hear these budgets and I'm like, wow, okay. But I feel like I have always wanted it to be accessible for everybody and to show that it can be accessible, especially whether you're from a small town or don't have maybe all the funds and stuff. I've tried to do all of my shoots. Again, it's out of pocket, so as cheap as I possibly can. And I've just found ways to get really creative with it. A lot of that would be like synthetic hair. Obviously, if you're doing hair color, it has to be real. But there's a lot of things you can do with synthetic hair. And a lot of I have real hair extensions, but I also have synthetic. So if I'm building a big piece, the base of it is going to be synthetic because it's the cheapest possible way, and then
not
what's exposed
seen.
Can be real. Yeah, exactly. So I've kind of gotten creative with that, and also creative with maybe instead of using, if you're doing 3 images, if you can get away with using 1 model, that's something I try to do. Obviously the looks try to be very different, so it doesn't look like the same model every single time. But there's ways to kind of shrink down your budgets that I have discovered along the way, and that's something I'm so happy to help people with, because I understand the struggle of that and just wanting to produce work but not having the budget. My number one thing to spend the money on is a photographer, and that's Richard Monsieur. That's my photographer. That's my number one, because without, you can make the most amazing collection, but without someone shooting it properly, it could be completely down the drain. Your months and months and months of hard work can go down the drain with bad photography. So I feel like photographer, number one, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, and to chime in on that, and the right kind of photographer, right? For this type of photo competition. For example, I did a shoot for Italian Vogue, and then convinced the photographer to just hang out and do some quick NAHA stuff for me, right? And we're talking Italian Vogue, you know, it doesn't get any better than that. Couldn't really grasp what I was trying to do, right? Where it was about the hair, because what he did was about the fashion.
He has a fashion eye. It's different.
It was about the mood, or I was like, oh, I can see a little frizz. It's fabulous. I was like, oh, probably not to NAHA. And we don't, you see Photoshop. I was like, no, we can't do that either.
Yeah.
So yeah, interview your photographers and go through that. Look, 5 years of winning for you, and look, I call being nominated winning. I mean, it's when I was nominated, it was just like, I already won, right? Because there are hundreds of entries, and you know, and then it's down to 5. So I'd like to go through your process, and I'm just gonna break down for you. So I'll go ideas and development, then sort of like creating the looks. Then we'll talk about models, wardrobe, makeup, and maybe day of notes of some sort. So how do we first spark those ideas, right? You have that day or two off. What do you do? What do you look at? How do you capture it?
I love this question, because I feel like my process, so everyone's process is so different. And one of my best friends who you met, Danielle Waterman, she's been nominated a few times as well. Our processes are completely different. Like, she is very much like, when she thinks of a collection and there's like a story behind it, or it's like her mood boards are so well put together, and it's like you can see exactly what she's going for. For me, it's like a feel that she's going for. For me, I feel like I get inspired when I see, maybe I get inspired a lot by fashion or architecture or different things like that. So sometimes when I see maybe a photograph or just something and that inspires me, I kind of start there, and I picture it. Like, it usually starts with one look in my head where I'm like, that's going to be my centerpiece. And that's where I go. Like, that's the first look. That's usually the most intense look or something, you know?
You're the star.
Yeah. And so it kind of like starts with one where I'm like, ooh, I'm really inspired by that. And then I kind of, okay, where would this fit into? What category could this fit into? Or what would look good with this? And then I start kind of coming up with different looks. I draw them all out. I feel like that is a massive thing that has helped.
Because you paint as well.
Yes,
if people follow you on Instagram.
I love to draw. That's my first love. I'm an artist from the moment I came out the womb. That's like my thing. So I feel like drawing, even if you're not a good artist, like drawing wise, I feel like it is so helpful to get just an idea down, like visually, of what you're thinking. And then I will draw out each look and kind of pair them, like whether it's like sticky notes or something, and I pair them together, and I can see, this one's not really working. Where can I go from here? Like that kind of thing. And then so I create the looks that way. Sometimes they don't always go to plan when you put them together. I'm sure people have experienced that. I always am like, this is an idea and it's open to change. So I think you can get really frustrated if you're trying to make it something exactly how you picture it. So I try to always, go with the flow a little bit on that and just let the creativity come when I see it in person. But I feel like drawing it out has completely like changed the way I do things, because I can just see it all together before I actually produce it.
And so from a sketch, which mine would be like a stickman chicken scratch.
That's okay.
When do you start like the textures and the tools? So you just dig in and say, there's my image, and then you just pick up tools and see if you can replicate it, or
yeah, or like I come up with the collection and then kind of just Richard, my photographer, makes fun of me because sometimes I'm a big procrastinator and I'll put like the whole collection and all the pieces like together in the week before the shoot, and I'm just like pulling 14-hour days like by myself in my living room, not eating, not it's a mess sometimes, but
oh my god,
I know. It's just an explosion of hair all over my apartment, and just
okay.
I feel bad for my boyfriend, but
common thread. Erin Fernandez had something similar, but hers is like 4 months.
yeah, no, I definitely, I feel like every year I'm like, okay, I got to start way earlier, and then I don't, and then it's a scramble. But sometimes I work better under pressure. But
same.
Yeah, same. So so I come up with the looks, I draw them out, and then from there I kind of think of what I need in order to produce that, or like how I kind of like break it down in my mind. For instance, for my texture collection, I have that centerpiece where the hair is kind of like fanned out and there's multiple pieces. I'm like, okay, if I was to do this, I need wire to make it stand up, or I need, and then okay, I'm gonna braid her hair down, so I need to sew the pieces into each of her braids, so whenever she turns her head, it doesn't matter, and she can be shot from wherever. And that I just kind of break it down to what I have to do, and then I start from there. Of trial and error, and kind of getting better as each piece goes on. Also breaking down where I usually, when I'm drawing it out, it's kind of where I want it to be shot from, the angle. That's open to change as well, but usually when I have a vision in my mind, it's hard to get it out.
From like up or
or like head tilted this way, so you see it a certain direction, or straight on, like stick figure, don't move. And then think about lighting and how I'm gonna want the hair to be lit, and it's a whole thing.
Love it. And I feel like a fireman's gonna go by in a minute, so I'll pause if so. But you talked a little bit about model, like trying to utilize high quality models, maybe not as many.
Yes.
So I love that. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
But are you working with agency models, or you just spend a long time scouting for one, or?
So I now have relationships with a lot of models friends that are my friends. So now I usually just go straight to them. One, because the agency won't take a cut from them if I'm, and so it's kind of a win-win for both of us, because the agency will charge me a little bit more, and then take a little bit
20%.
So I tend to try and reach out to the models directly. However, there are good agencies that have models that do this kind of stuff all the time. Like I think one of them is Mega Flash Models. They do a lot of NAHA stuff. And that's not your traditional like modeling agency like for fashion here in New York. It's more for beauty. But I try to go directly through the model. Sometimes they'll say no, and that's okay. Also, I believe I had to look up like exactly what website it was. Maybe it's models.com or something. But sometimes you can go just scouting on the street, but it's really important to pay attention to features that they have, and also like, can they support what you're going to be creating, and that is major.
The attitude. You got, and so there's so much attitude to your shoots. Wardrobe and makeup can make or break collections. I think they often overpower the message, take away from the hair, don't match, don't support. Can you talk a little bit about your process for wardrobe and makeup?
Yes. So a lot of the time I feel like my wardrobe is extremely minimal. When I picture a NAHA, it's different than a fashion shoot, completely different. Because the story is the hair. The first thing you want to see is hair. So you don't want it to be wardrobe, makeup, accessories, anything. It's the first thing when you look at the picture, you want to be drawn to the hair. So I try to keep everything minimal. Sometimes it's really cool to have amazing like wardrobe pieces, and then sometimes they're so amazing it takes away from the hair, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to be careful. Most of the time, my wardrobe, I feel like the last 2 years, I've had help from my friend Al Torin. All the years prior, I either did it myself or like had my friend Jen Daniels. Sometimes she comes on and just helps me last minute, or if I get everything and I'm like, can you just come look?
Yeah.
She'll help me. So yeah, I feel like I try to keep everything minimal. As far as makeup goes, something that's just gonna usually reflect well with the lighting, and not take away, not to be too harsh, not be too heavy. I like to pay attention to the skin being very healthy looking,
right.
Just something that's going to complement whatever I'm doing and kind of elevate it as well. I feel like it's really easy to kind of make things look cheesy sometimes if you pick the wrong wardrobe and makeup. And I think I learned I wouldn't necessarily call it cheesy, but I think if I could go back to my styling and finishing collection, and Richard, my photographer, told me, he was like, I don't like this, but we're going to do it anyway. He liked my hair, but the makeup, I wanted, I was doing pastels, color, and the wardrobe was all white. The background was white. So I wanted the makeup to be kind of whiter. And looking back, I wish I just we did like white fake eyelashes. I wish I did no eyelashes, because to me, looking back on it, I feel like it was too much. So I feel like I've learned my lesson in that way.
We're going to pop that up. In editing, I'm going to ask PBA pop that up so we have a real time, because these are the things we do, right? We go in, you got to go, right? Are we going to do the lashes or not? And like, so
and I did it.
Really good feedback.
The makeup artist I had on that shoot, he's amazing. He's a dear friend of mine. And I just shouldn't have done the eyelashes, and so, and that's it. The rest of it would have been fine. But I did.
And then you would have 5 wins. No,
no, but I feel like that is something that you just kind of get an eye for it over time. But I try to stay away from anything that's gonna take away from the hair or make it look cheesy or anything. Like, I try to really keep it clean, minimal, elevated, strong, and
Nice. So every artist has their moments of doubt.
Yes.
What do you do, including white eyelashes? What do you do to keep pushing past any creative blocks? Like, I mean, I can't imagine you don't get that thought of like, oh God, 5 nominations. How do I outdo myself, right?
Yeah.
Not only do I produce the best work, but how do I go beyond Cassie Carey? Do you have any advice for how you keep pushing through these creative blocks or challenges?
So I feel like I never put the pressure on myself to top myself or to top what I try really hard not to do that, because it takes away the fun of it. Something I strive for instead is to do something that I've never done before. So whether that's new technique I've never tried before, or something, I feel like I'm drawn to things that I haven't really seen done in hair often, or maybe it's like I'm drawn to, again, architecture or something in fashion. A lot of like really high-end fashion pieces that are like the structural part of it is something I'm drawn to a lot. I'm like, okay, how can I make that happen in hair? So I try not to put the pressure on myself to top anything, just more so challenging myself. And then sometimes, even if I don't win or I don't get nominated or when nothing comes of it, I tried something completely new. So when I challenge myself, usually the best things come from it. And I try to just do things I've never done before.
I think that's really good advice, not only for any challenge in your life, but really pushing to your level of success, which again is just so tremendous. I was like, she is on fire. You have achieved so much. You seem like you're on a very good path. Where do you go from here? What's next for Cassie Carey?
That's a good question. I feel like that's something that I try to figure out all the time. I feel like people are like, oh, my goal was to move to New York and shoot my first NAHA, and I did that. And so, and then I didn't really have a plan for after that. I was just like, oh, wait, what do I do now?
21, 22, 23, 24.
So I kept shooting. And so I feel like that's something, being in the fashion world too, they're two completely different worlds. That's something I would love to try and marry a little bit more than what it is now. So if I can lend a hand in kind of bridging the gap that is there and helping people get their feet wet into fashion if they'd like to, or into NAHA, or just I feel like maybe next would just trying to help people reach their own potential from any place that they are. So whether that's not here in New York, if that's smaller towns or whatever, kind of breaking it down for them and teaching them how and like where to start. And it's really intimidating at first, but it doesn't have to be. Like if you break it down to simple steps, it's really not as scary as it seems. And what's the worst that comes from it? You don't get nominated, or you don't do something, but you have this collection and you have this beautiful work that you can post, and you can enter into different competitions, or enter into magazines, or just different ways to utilize the work that you've produced if it doesn't have the outcome you'd hope for.
What I'm hearing, ladies and gentlemen, all who are listening, is that she might want to be a mentor. She might want to teach some of us. And I know I would be signing up for any class you were teaching. Do you think you would consider being an educator in the future?
I would consider it for the things that I feel like I can help with. I feel like.
I think you can help with a lot. I know everybody's taking notes and probably picking up the phone. So thank you for all of that. Those are all like, your answers have been so free flowing and true and organic, and just like you, just natural talent there. What I like to do is I just like to end with like a few fun rapid fire questions, very, very Vogue magazine, if you will, for our editorial stylist. And then I'll give you a minute or two at the very end to say whatever you'd like to, not only your viewers, but at this point you have fans after 5 nominations and 4 wins. So would you like to have some fun? Would you like to do some rapid fire questions? Just like a word, a sentence or two, whatever comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 word to describe living in New York City.
Inspirational.
I like that. What's your favorite food?
Oh, probably Thai food.
Thai is a good one. If you could raid one person's closet, who would it be?
Oh, that's a hard question. Probably my stylist, El Torn.
Okay, wow, that's good.
Yeah, he's got a good closet, I'm sure.
What's your favorite thing in the world besides NAHA, of course?
Oh, my family, my siblings.
That's so good. What's your favorite color?
Blue. Always. Ooh. All shades.
All shades of blue. Nice. Yeah, I'm in there too. I'd say peacock is probably my favorite.
Yeah, blue. I like blue and like green, like the mix of the two.
Okay, so maybe this goes without saying. What color clothing do you wear the most?
Black.
What is it with us, right? Yeah. What is the one talent you wish you had?
I wish I could speak every language.
Wow.
I would love that. I would love to be able to like speak to people from all different places.
And what's something about you or a talent we didn't know you have?
Oh. I feel like I try to put them out there, so I don't know.
No stupid human tricks of any kind?
No, I can't juggle or do anything cool like that. I guess maybe people didn't know I painted or draw, and then maybe that's it.
Yeah, I've seen like your head painting. It's so cool with like the crazy happy faces. If you don't already follow Cassie, follow her on Instagram. We'll put up the details for you. Cassie, again, just such a tremendous interview. So enjoyable working with you for those few days in Manhattan. I'll give you the floor to say a few words to those who are watching, all your super fans out there.
Oh, thank you. Well, first, I just want to say thank you. If you appreciate my work and are inspired by it, I feel like that's really special. And also, if you happen to be at any of the hair shows that I'm at and you see me, feel free to come up and say hi. I would love to say hi to everybody that wants to say hi to me and answer any questions if they don't know where to start, and kind of just get the ball rolling with them.
Okay.
And yeah, I feel like that's it.
You might need a bodyguard then. I don't know. Well, thank you so much, Cassie. This is really what Creative Conversations is meant to be. We've wanted to make sure to get you on the show because your tenure, and it's only been 5 with NAHA, is just amazing. To all of you, thank you for watching. As always, I want you to keep being creative, keep learning, be brave, keep lifting up each other, because remember, even in the toughest of times, we as a stylist community together are unstoppable. So I want to tell you, keep shining, keep growing, my friends. I'm Michael Shaun Corby, right? Second that, third that. We'll see you next time with another guest, another story, and another dream come true, just like Cassie's. Thank you so much for joining us, Cassie. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, thank
especially
you.
at NAHA.
Yes, thank you.
See you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.